All right, so we are live. Welcome to Intuitive You, how to heal and create a life that you love. So fascinating enough, my dear friend Allison from Empire Life Marketing is not on yet, and we talked about this. So I'm very wondering why she isn't on, but I'm trusting that there must be a reason that I can just connect with you for a little bit, and hopefully, fingers crossed, that she will get her technology stuff figured out or whatever's going on over on her end, and she will be able to join us live. So with that, let's just drop into our intuitions, get super connected, and really focus on the message of marketing and truly just shining in our lives, right? Being that messenger of love and marketing from that place. So with that, I invite you just to bring your awareness into your heart center, taking a few moments to calm, to feel your breath. Breathing in through the nose and exhaling out through the mouth. Let's just breathe in through the nose, love, and exhale peace through the mouth. And with your next in breath, let's just go ahead and inhale light through the nose and exhale light through the mouth. So with that, I often like to use the analogy of a tunnel of love. So you bring your awareness from your heart down into your belly, so a couple inches below your belly button. You're moving from your heart center, which is the foundation of love, down into your core, your inner compass. And so as you feel yourself guided by love, opening your heart as the gateway, coming down the tunnel of love to your core, you're actually in your intuitive center. And this is the place where you can make really solid decisions from. And when something feels solid, it just feels right. It feels certain. So I was going over some of my curriculum because we have our group coaching program starting on Wednesday, I believe. So you can still register on the 28th if it's before the 28th. And that feeling of being solid, as I was listening to some of my own classes, I remembered how important it is to make those decisions from being solid in our intuitive knowing. And solid feels solid, right? It's like you think of maybe like a stick of butter or a rock, like it's solid, it's true through and through, right? There's no hesitation. You can actually feel it, right? If you were to imagine either one of those, right? A stick of butter or a rock, it's just very solid. So when you feel that sense of solid certainty in your gut, you absolutely know that you're following your intuition. If not, you might want to wait, right? I actually talk about the intuitive pause because sometimes there's other things that need to line up for you to feel totally solid and for your intuition to give you that full body yes. And your intuition, when you're truly following it, will be an embodied experience. You will feel it in every cell of your body. So we can even do that right now if you want. So you can think about a time where you've felt what yes feels like in your body. So go ahead and allow yourself to feel your yes. When you've absolutely felt yes, it's kind of funny. I think she actually just texted me as I tuned into the yes. And as you felt that, notice what your body did, right? It was a solid feeling. It usually is uplifting. And so as you feel that yes, you may even want to bring your thumb and your middle finger together. You can anchor the feeling of what yes feels like for you. And you can kind of shake that off for a second and think about a time where you've had an intuitive no. And that intuitive no, you can feel maybe your body go down. There could be like a sense of like repression or depression, constriction, heaviness. So notice where you feel no. Sometimes you can get like a sharp shooting pain. So just feel what your no feels like. So it's kind of like your barometer of what your yes and your no is. So when you're going through life, you can take a moment to move into your heart, drop into your core, into your intuition, feel it in every cell of your body, and notice, is my body saying yes, or is my body saying no to this? And so knowing that your body is like the instrument of your spirit, of your higher self, you're going to be able to trust it, right? Trust your body as that as that, right? That instrument is carrying it out. So let's check and see what she said because I'm pretty sure she probably is trying to get on. Nope, she's not. It's somebody else. So we're just going to keep moving along then. So as you continue to feel what your yes or your no is, you keep moving in alignment with that. Now, I'll keep this show more focused on marketing just because that's what I said we were going to do. And Allison, for some reason, obviously I don't have control of her being here or not, but to continue the message of marketing. So when you are marketing your business or even marketing for another company, it's really you, right? It's your personality. It's the love that you bring that attracts. Now, the message obviously follows you, right? So when you are embodied in your intuition and the love that you are, your message is going to speak from that place and it's going to connect with people from that place. So, the intuitive success coaching process is so fun for me because I teach people how to monetize their gifts. So, whether you have a business or not, right now, my question for you is what's something that you absolutely love? So, as you feel into your heart and drop into your gut, just kind of ask yourself, what do I absolutely love? What am I naturally good at? And breathing that in. Maybe place your head on your heart to just acknowledge your innate gifts. And then from your core, from your inner knowing, that inner compass within you, notice what are the ways that you're already doing this now. So maybe you're very kind and you're a mother and you're naturally nurturing other people. So notice the ways that your gifts are already showing up now, whether you're paid for them right now or not directly. Just notice how your gifts are showing up. You may even want to jot this down or just do a note to self. Nice. Good. And then what are the ways in which, if you chose to, you could start to monetize your gifts? So notice the ways that you feel you bring value to people, right? And it may be a process. I have a client, she's working with something called Radiant Health, and she's somebody who's actually become that Radiant Health. Through her life experience, she has lived it. So typically, something that you share is something that you've lived, something you have experience with. So for me, following my intuition has been a way of life. So as I followed my intuition, I created a life around that. So notice how you are literally creating your life as you, through you, which is your intuition. Now, the only thing that sometimes comes up are the mental and emotional blocks, which are conditioning. They're past, we can call programming, which basically means there's a mental thought connected with an emotion that has created a belief in your subconscious mind that can actually get in the way of your intuition. Some people might call this ego. I really don't like the word ego because I think that it separates you from yourself. If you think about a block is just something that inhibits the natural flow of energy. So you can feel these blocks in your body, right? So you can notice maybe a heaviness, a constriction. For me, sometimes I'll see like darkness in a certain area of somebody's body or their energetic field. Or if I'm clearing myself, I'll notice where are those blockages, those restrictions of energy. And so once you identify what that block is, you can see it. And, you may want to do a private session with me to actually clear your specific block where we can go just through some questions to help you identify what it is. You ask, what is the emotion connected and the thought connected to that block? And then you go back to the first time you felt that, because there was a time that your mind created that belief. And once we find that time, we actually go back in and reprogram. And I guide you through this process of getting positive emotional resources so you're actually able to change the belief. So your mind, your subconscious mind, then gets on board, like hopping a ship, comes in alignment with your intuition, which is the soul part of you. It's a part of you that already knows the truth, right? So, this is usually what we call healing, right? Restoring our natural state of wholeness. So, anytime, we've been hurt by somebody in our past, that belief of feeling disconnected from our intuition, i.e., love, can get triggered, can get activated. So, as you clear these blocks by reprogramming it with the positive beliefs, your intuition comes to support, like I said, your intuition. And then you move forward on your soul path. So, in the intuitive readings I give, they're super fun because I can actually see what your path is and you begin to see it. And as you start to follow that, you feel really, really good. And that's a fulfillment. That's the other thing I was remembering is when I was listening to those classes, you basically are becoming you is fulfilling your soul's path. And that is the greatest fulfillment you'll ever have. So that could include lots of money. It could include an amazing relationship and children, whatever it is that your soul has come here to experience. And so it's not something that you can mentally think through. Like I said, you can clear those mental emotional blocks, but it's actually something you come into alignment with through your intuition. And so in the intuitive success coaching process, we activate each of your main 7 chakras. So one of my colleagues, Sonia Choquette, she'd endorsed the Miracle of You process. I think you might have seen her. She's like a big time best-selling author on Hay House. And I briefly watched one of her videos and she talked about, people may think they know what the chakras are. And you can intellectually be like, okay, the first chakra is, feeling solid and safe. The second chakra is you're feeling. You can intellectually know what they mean. But to actually integrate and activate each of those energy centers actually allows you to embody and become the full you. So when you have a chakra, so for instance, the first chakra is the foundation. I call it the foundation of love. It's the safety, the security, feeling loved, feeling financially safe, feeling physically safe, emotionally safe, which would obviously be loved, mentally safe, right? Safe in all ways. That chakra, that energetic center, it vibrates to a color. And it also governs your physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual capacities, right? It literally corresponds to different parts in your body. For instance, the first chakra is like your blood, your bones, your immune system, the basic foundation of your physical body, right? On the emotional level, it governs feeling safe, right? On the mental level, clear thoughts. So when you balance each of these chakras and activate it, you then move into alignment with that frequency. So we'll go through the basics of each of them. And obviously, to learn the full process, you want to take the program. But this will help you to start to align. And also, if you haven't yet gone to the website, you can go to lifeforceconnection.com and download the free meditation. It's I think it's something about living your best life, and it's each of the chakra activations. So for now, we're going to move to that from that first chakra, feeling safe and solid, noticing what that feels like for you. You may even want to bring to mind the color red. And then from that place, you're going to move a couple inches below your belly button. And this is the home of your intuition. It's your gut feeling. That vibrates to the color orange. So this is your feeling center. So this is where your feelings help you to start navigating to where your inner knowing, your gut feeling is telling you. So if you're walking down a street in one direction, you might feel like, this doesn't quite feel right. I feel a little bit of fear here. I'm going to go over here to this direction where I feel light and expansive and move in alignment there. Okay, into more joy, into more freedom. So that feeling, the positive feelings are going to guide you to follow that knowing. Now, a way that you can connect with what knowing is it's that certainty of truth within you. We all know the honest answer, the honest truth within all of us, right? A really funny way to do that is to actually say your name, right? Like I can say, my name is Abby, and I know my name's Abby, right? I can say my name is Bob, And it's not, right? My body's like, my gut's like, nope, not that. But my name is Abby, right? So you have that ability to always know the truth. And so as you feel with your feelings and drop into your knowing of your intuition, you will know, right? That is your intuitive guidance. We talked about your yes or your no. So as you move from your second chakra, you can move up to your third, which is actually a couple inches above your belly button, and that's your power center. So that vibrates, meaning it emits the frequency of yellow, which activates your belief in yourself at an emotional level, right? So we'll just go through some of the emotions to start. It's also your personal choice, right? So when you make a decision, kind of like we did in alignment with yes, you're honoring your intuition because it's coming from that knowing, and the yes feels really good. And contrarily, a no, which actually can feel really good too. You say no to something that you don't want. Okay. And then moving into your heart, which vibrates to the color green. So, one of the easiest ways is actually to rotate your chakras in a clockwise direction. And as you do that, infuses energy into your heart. And so, as you open up that heart and you take your right hand and you start to move in a clockwise direction, you can literally start to open the gateway of your heart. And the affirmation for your heart is I love. And you can even just finish that sentence right now. So I love is just opening up that frequency, but as you complete it, that sentence, you'll start moving into the vibration of love. So I invite you to do that now, and just within your own mind, to notice what it is that you love. And as you even say that to yourself, notice that your heart starts to lift, right? Because you're moving into that frequency of love. So go ahead and just take a few more moments to do that. Nice. Now, from that place of your heart, you're going to express your truth, right? So your heart is going to come, that vibration of love, into your throat. You can visualize the color light blue. And from that place, you're speaking your truth with love. So you can finish this sentence, which is, my truth is. Okay? And so your truth will then be expressed. As you express your truth, you can open up to your third eye. Now, your third eye is like your inner eye. So it's where you get visualizations. You can foresee future things happening. You can even reference the past. So with your third eye, you open to your intuitive sense, right? So as you speak your truth with love, open up to your third eye and notice what you see for yourself. This chakra vibrates to the color indigo. So if you want to see that color, that'll start to open up. And just go ahead and notice what you see for yourself. Breathing that in. Good. I often see just like this light path, right? You can ask to be shown your soul's path, right? And as you do, you can open to your crown, which is like if you were to imagine like a lid lifting off the top of your head. You're going to lift up that lid, opening straight up to source. So you're just going to see this divine white light pouring down through the top of your head, down through the front side of your body, the back side of your body, all the way down through the bottom of your feet, connecting you straight to the core of the earth. When I was in Ecuador, it's like equator, center of earth, right? I remember standing on and feeling myself literally connected to the center of the earth. So go ahead and feel yourself connected to the center of the earth, knowing that you are welcomed, that you are loved, and that you are here by design on purpose. And you may just even want to ask, what is your purpose? What is it that you want next? Um, she's she's texting. Um, so sorry about that. Um, all right. So as you feel your soul's purpose, then you start to follow your intuition, the next steps to be in alignment with it, right? And so you might even want to think of it as like a key. So opening the door is the gateway to your heart down to connecting with your inner compass, right? That gut feeling. And so as you start to open up that door of your highest potential, you are shown the steps moment to moment to moment. So let's just take a few moments and close our eyes and just notice what you start to see as you've now started to activate each of these centers, opening the door to your heart, opening the door to your inner, knowing that inner compass, just starting to see what you see. And starting to notice any next action steps that you feel. And you may want to write those down or just note to self what those action steps are. And then whenever you feel ready, come back into the room. And another really fun way to expand your intuition is to actually see yourself as if you're already living it now. So we go into this more in the course, but when you start to become energetically the vibrational match for what it is that you want, it literally comes into form, right? Because like a magnet, it just attracts it. So the work is really about clearing the blocks so you can receive what it is that you want. And in doing so, you actually fulfill your soul's purpose, right? Because we only want greater expressions of love, right? Because we are all love and we are all connected. So when you find what that greatest expression of love is for you, then miracles follow, right? So it's really about being committed to yourself and your own path, right? And doing what it takes to release any of those blocks. And I'm going to go ahead and open the phone lines. I think Allison's about ready to come on. She was not feeling very well. But if anybody wants to share, or if you have a question for either myself or Allison when she pops on, you can call 858-692-4555, and I will keep this phone line on. And you can ask any questions. So when you just really feel into yourself living it as if it's already done, you may even want to jot some notes down. What new beliefs did you start to have? Where is it that you feel you can let go of certain things, right? What is it you need to let go to be able to move into that higher vibration of light and love that is your dream? And yeah, so I think she should be hopping on here. Looks like she had a big weekend, I guess, doing a marketing thing. So, all right. So let's just go ahead and while we're waiting for her, just close your eyes and I invite you, we're just going to move up the chakras with the colors. So just moving at the base of your spine, seeing the color red. And then coming up a couple inches below your belly button, color orange. And then a couple inches above your belly button, the color yellow. And up to your heart, the color green. And then to your throat, the color light blue, like the sky. And then to your third eye, color indigo. And then up and out through the top of your head, pure white light. And just allowing that white light to then, like we said a bit earlier, just fall like a shower of white light down into your aura, into your energetic field, and attracting that light to you. And so with that, it looks like Allison Ramsey has joined us. So we're going to admit her in just probably less than a minute. And I just invite you to just take in all that she says with so much love. And she has been, she's an author, she's a speaker. She's really started a company, I believe, from the ground up, and just an amazing woman. So I'm going to go ahead and invite her in now. And we'll see. Hi, Allison.
Hi, Abby. Sorry. It was a really big weekend. My daughter's birthday was this weekend.
Okay. So do you want to have a picture of just your name? So it looks like your video's off, but just welcome. I just introduced you as the amazing author and speaker that you are. And I know you have an amazing story of how you got your marketing company started. So do you want to share that with us at all today?
Sure, Abby. So I got my company Empire Life started because I saw that there was a huge need for specifically female business owners to be able to have a company support them with guiding or either done for you services on the Facebook ads, their social media marketing, their websites, sales funnels, and where they could really truly be able to tap in with them or dive deeper. That a lot of women were telling me, well, I haven't ever been able to find a company that's not completely male, I guess, founded or male run, and they weren't feeling that they were really tapping in with them or understanding where they were coming from. And that's what really motivated me to want to also give women more of a voice in the book, or amplify the voices that they're already talking to the world, and give my platform for them to be able to have that be amplified.
So a lot of this really sounds like women's empowerment. Does that feel true?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I know. And I don't know if you want to share your personal story, but I know you really empowered yourself at a really young age to like follow what was true for you. Did you want to share anything about your personal story of how you came into your own empowerment?
Oh, sure. There's one that's coming to mind. When I was really little, I was in second grade, probably 7 or 8, and I started getting into making jewelry, or homemade jewelry, and bracelets and necklaces, sometimes earrings. And I was wearing my favorite bracelet to school, and one of my good friends, one of the other little girls, said, "Oh, I love your bracelet, and can I have it?" Did I tell you the story before?
No.
Oh, okay. And I said, I don't know, it's my favorite bracelet. Like, I wear it every day. It had like pearl kind of beads with gold throughout it, different kind of gold beads, like gold coins and beads. So it was pearl and gold. And she reached in her backpack and she pulled out, I think it was a $5 bill, and said, well, if I give you this $5 bill, can I have it then? And I was like, oh, really? You want to pay me for this? Oh, okay. I didn't, it happened so fast. I didn't quite process it in the moment. And I gave her the bracelet, and she was wearing it the rest of the day, and I took the money. And then the next day, about 10 to 15 other little girls came to me and said, well, I don't remember her name, but like, Janie was wearing that bracelet and I want one. So it started like this, so that I had maybe 20 to 40 orders a week at least, of then making bracelets and necklaces for my friends or for the whole grade. And
Wow.
I would take their money on the playground and give them their order as part of my recess. So I never did it in class or in instructional time, either at lunch or on the playground. And then I would go play or jump rope. That was definitely part of my daily process. Well, one day I was sitting in a class, and the principal, who was definitely over 6 foot tall, if he was 6'5", he was a very big guy. He knocked on the door and they called my name, and I had to leave class and walk behind the principal all the way to his office. He didn't say anything to me the whole way, and he just said, "Follow me." And then we sat down in his office across from each other, and he said, "So I hear you're selling things on campus, on the school grounds." And I said, "Yes, sir, that's right, I am." And he said, "That's against school policies. Do you not know that you're breaking school policies?" And I said, "Oh no, I didn't know that, and I can't stop. I can't stop my business." He said, "What do you mean you can't stop? It's against school policies." I said, "I have a whole list of orders and these my friends, these girls, they feel incredible when they wear my jewelry. I can't just not fulfill their orders. And a lot of them have already paid me for what they've ordered, so I have to give it to them. And also, I in my we weren't, we grew up very modestly, and if I wanted something like a pair of shoes that were more than $20 or something, I would need to pay half of it, or sometimes the whole thing, when I was a kid. And I also told them I have my eye on these certain shoes that will really help me do better in my sports games. And so I'm saving up money so I can buy those. So no, I'm not stopping." he he said, okay, I wasn't expecting it like this. Maybe we can make a deal. If you just sell your products on the playground and at lunch, then you can keep running your business." And I said, "Well, that's what I already do. Like, I'm totally cool with that." And I stood up and we shook hands. I stood up and I put my hand out over his desk because I thought that made it official.
So sweet. You came to agreement. Well, it's really fascinating because before you came on live, we were actually talking about how doing what you love naturally is just you, like your purpose, right? So finding something you love and then monetizing it, because you're just doing what you love and you're naturally doing it and being it. So that's exactly what you did so young. And it obviously created a big enough impact that you got the principal involved. And I love that you were able to agree, right? That actually, like, hey, I can't stop my business. I can't stop who I am. It's happening. And let's come to a mutual agreement. So that's really beautiful.
Yes.
I love that.
Yeah. And the principal, every time after that, when he saw me, he would say, "Allison," he would say extremely loud that my whole class could hear it when we were walking down the hall. "Allison, how's business?"
You're like, great.
I'm like, "It's great, high five." And they're
That's
like, "You know the principal? Like, on a first name basis?" What is happening?
Wow, that's awesome. I love it. That's so beautiful. And I know, like, as you grow, I mean, like, you were sharing something with me, like, in your early 20s. I know there were some pretty fascinating stories you had in Europe where you basically really had to make your own decisions to say, hey, I'm standing up for myself and what's true. And as an empowered woman, this is what I'm doing. And I just love that about you. Is there anything you want to share about that and your daughter and how you're really able to come from that solid place within your own core intuitive knowing?
Sure. I have shared, or I don't mind getting really, really vulnerable. I was living in another country when I found, and I was married. I got married actually in another country. And then I was living abroad for almost a decade total. About 4 years of that decade was with my daughter, and the other part was with my ex-husband or her father. And I met him there when I was looking at a program that I wanted to do postgraduate. I guess at some point, he and I became disaligned or not aligned anymore in how we wanted to live our lives. And I felt that how we viewed money or some of our values weren't matching anymore. And it was really difficult to leave or kind of untangle myself from that situation. And I did leave at some point when I was pregnant at the beginning of my pregnancy, and was still going to counseling with him, trying my best to work on the marriage, because I didn't personally want to go through divorce. I don't think anybody makes that choice or really desires that unless they feel that it's going to be the best outcome for the situation. And there wasn't any, I guess, flexibility when I did come back to Texas. I'm originally from Texas. I moved back and really wanted to be close to my family when I had my daughter, especially for her to be able to know her grandparents really well. And I really do think that it takes a village to raise a kid, and as many people that are supportive that can be around you and your kid, or you and your partner and your kid, is really a massive benefit. And for him, he made the decision he didn't ever want to live outside of England.
Mm.
So I think he still lives in England. There wasn't that flexibility there where he, I guess, really had my best interest at heart. So I had to have my own best interest at heart and follow that.
Mm. Yeah, and I think you really, like, one of the biggest things that I remember talking to you is you trusted yourself. And so you really allowed your intuition to lead you. So I'm wondering where you feel that place of your intuitive connection and that deep self-trust, because I know you went on to build this amazing business and you're a professor at a university. So you've been able to really um, kind of grow that sense of knowing into your life, So I'm wondering, how is it you feel your intuitive connection and can continue moving from that solid place?
That's a great question. A lot of times I feel my intuitive connection in my stomach or in my gut.
Hmm.
And on the human design, I'm a Manny Jin, if anybody is really into that. And I think that also clarified for me that it's it's coming from my sacral,
Hmm.
or that I have that my sacral is extremely tuned in.
Mm.
So if I start feeling nauseous or anything I can't eat, or something related to my stomach, a lot of times I know that this is not the path that I need to be going down.
Hmm.
This something here is not quite right. So definitely my sacral or my gut gives me a lot of intuitive feedback. I usually take time every day to meditate or do deep breathing exercises. A lot of times during those exercises or meditating, I don't know the best name for it, maybe downloads. I
Activation
can
downloads.
activation downloads. I've heard people's voices before, or it's just a like a fact. Something comes to me like this is just the way it is, and
Mm. Yeah, there's just that sense of knowing. Sometimes that sense of knowing can be followed by a sense of peace, right? Because it's just like your being can settle into the truth, right? And move forward from that place.
mhm. That's definitely how it feels.
Mhm. Yeah, and I know you're not feeling well. I'm so sorry you're not feeling well. Well, we'll just keep you on
Mm.
for a little bit longer. I know there's some people that really wanted to hear from you. Uh,
Yeah, I'm definitely here. I just my there was a very big weekend. I didn't realize till this morning how much we did starting like Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We really
mm,
had a lot of fun and had a lot of parties for my daughter's birthday, which is amazing.
that's
But I didn't rest as much as I normally do. So I'm definitely here and I appreciate your patience with me.
yeah. So one of the things, my work with children and just the fascination of how, they learn from us energetically more than anything. So I'm curious how you've been an influence on your daughter and how she learns from you and how you learn from her, that intuitive connection.
Mm. We have an extremely transparent and open relationship where I I feel most of the time at this point she just turned 14
Mm,
that she's able to hold the space for me, understanding that I'm not perfect. I'm
mm,
human and communicate with me if there's something that was bothering her, to do her best to also tell me in a way that's still, it may not always come out as, of course, nice. I don't think it's about being nice to one another necessarily. It's about being transparent and supportive as much as we can.
mm,
And she has the capability to hold that space for me, and I would like to say that it was modeled from me.
mm,
At the same time, it's probably modeled from other people in her life too,
mhm,
that she feels very supported by. And I think another really huge part of it is we own how we're feeling in the moment
mhm,
in our communication. We are able to say right now, I'll give you an example. The other day, I was just driving to, oh, she really wanted to order something from Target. I think it was on Thursday. And they didn't have it at the Target that was closest to our house that I'm used to driving to. So because she really wanted this specific product, I thought, okay, we'll go ahead and order it from this other one that I hadn't been to before in a long time. I had been there when I was little. And I was feeling really anxious when I got in the car because I had never driven to that Target.
mm,
Instead of getting upset with her or barking something at her or saying something in a very anxious way, I said, I just want you to know I'm feeling extremely anxious right now because I have to use the GPS and I don't drive that much because I work from home. And with all the pandemic things, I haven't been driving that much. And if I seem like I'm anxious, it's because I'm feeling that way right now.
mhm,
So we do our best to just call it out in the moment. I'm probably not going to be feeling anxious maybe in 30 minutes, but I am right now.
mhm,
And that's okay. There's no judgment on those feelings.
mhm,
We understand better how to communicate with each other if we're not quite coming from our core. That's not necessarily my core being.
mhm,
And then she was able to communicate with me with a lot more of a healthier way
mhm,
in the conversation, with understanding that I how about how I was feeling.
mhm,
And then we even went deeper than that about maybe where that anxiety was coming from. And I was remembering some traumas that I had with my mom at that Target. And I had not even thought about it in the longest time. But sometimes when I had gone there with her, I didn't really want to go. And I didn't really feel safe in the area. It was just in a more kind of like a more dangerous area of the city. Even though like the person was bringing it out to us, they were bringing the product out. We weren't going in the store like curbside. It's still all those kind of feelings started coming back, and that came into a lot of anxiety.
mhm,
And I was able to talk openly with my daughter about it. Like, these are some of the things that happened when I was here with your grandma. And while I've forgiven her for that, it's weird how sometimes they come back, and we have to own those and we can process them together. And I don't ever want to project that onto you, or you not know why I'm feeling a certain way, and then all of a sudden I'm mad at you because that I had a lot of those kind of experiences that I didn't really know what was going on with an adult, and they didn't tell me, and then I think that they're maybe mad at me,
Mm.
or I don't know what they're experiencing. So I definitely wanted something different for her, and her to be able to then in turn understand that she can also express that to me, or I'm feeling like my feelings are hurt right now, or I'm feeling like what you just said is I'm not feeling supported, or anything that might be coming up for her in the moment, because in our house we treat feelings as passing, they're passing through us, and it's okay for us to be present with them in order to heal or transgress those. And I felt we processed it in a way together. And then we were laughing a little later about it, or in extreme joy about the story that I was telling you.
Nice. I love it. You're so intuitive in the sense that like a lot of this we were talking about before you came on, which is really following your feelings, seeing what they have to tell you to actually move into that inner knowing of guidance. So in this case of feeling anxious, it's like, oh, what is that anxiety telling me, rather than projecting it on your daughter or another person? It's like, I'm feeling anxious. What is that telling me? Oh, I'm remembering a time that, didn't feel so good or so safe to me. So I know that my intuition is communicating to me through my feelings to kind of make me aware. And I'm present enough to know, okay, that was then, this is now. What do I need now? Right. And maybe you did pick it up and then went back home or whatever happened. But I love that you can just name what you're experiencing rather than kind of project it out to your daughter or to anybody, and use that as guidance. That's really beautiful.
It did feel like a healing process
Mhm.
when I said it out loud. And also it came to me that maybe let's go do something that we enjoy right after we picked up the product, as opposed to just go straight home.
Mhm, mhm. And I think the other thing that comes to mind, Allison, is it probably makes her feel safe to express her feelings, right? So as you're doing that, that's what I mean by kind of learning energetically, even beyond words, is like, oh, well, mom does that, so it's okay for me. So I can express my feelings and trust my intuition because I just watched my mom do it, right? So really realizing the impact we have on each other just with our own energy.
It's true. And understanding also the no judgment piece, that we
Mhm.
don't always have to feel happy or joyous all the time. We don't always have to have a smile on our face or be pretending that we're one way when then the other people around you feel something underneath the surface.
Mhm.
I I take our surroundings, or the environment that she's in, extremely seriously about her feeling. She's also extremely intuitive. So if there was tension and I
Mhm.
wasn't expressing that to her, she would feel it anyways.
Yeah. Yeah, creating that safe space. That is one of the things I talk about in the process, and I think you know that, is the space of non-judgment and unconditional love, because it really does allow that true safety, right? Because when we're not judging each other or ourselves, we can speak the truth. We can then move into alignment with ourselves and the world around us. So I think that's really key, and the easiest way is to go to the heart and drop into your knowing, right? Because it's like, this just is. This is just how I'm feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And now, how do we move together in the highest and best way?
I completely agree. And it was interesting yesterday when we were driving back home, coming from my family's house.
Mhm.
My daughter relayed to me that in a private conversation with one of my family members, she asked them directly, are you feeling a little anxious right now, with how they were expressing something to her? And about their response was, I don't have anxiety. I'm not feeling anxious. I don't, what are you talking about? I never have that. I'm
Mm.
not an anxious person. And my daughter didn't continue. She didn't like force or push the conversation. She said, "Oh, okay, okay, all right, that's how you're feeling." And she was relaying it back to me. Can you believe they said this? It was really like at least she was trying to tell me like I was really holding space for them, and then they just didn't want to go there. So
Right.
it's great for her to also have
Right.
the realization that not everyone wants to go there
Mm-hmm.
all the time.
Right.
And
It's
yeah.
beautiful that she could respect that. That's sweet. Yeah. Yeah. Kind of meeting people and yourself wherever you're at. But yeah, she met them in love, right? Okay. I just respect that. You can't go there, like, all right,
Hmm.
you know, that's really sweet. Very cool. Well, I know we just have a few more minutes before wrapping up. Is there anything you want to share about your current company or ways that people can contact you if they want to work more? I let my people know that you do a lot of our marketing. So I don't know if there's a way that people can connect with you that you'd like them to have or what you'd like next, Allison.
Of course. Yeah, they can connect with me on my website. It's empirelifeacademy.com. Or if if you want to put that in the show notes, maybe, and there's a contact form there that they can reach out to me for sure. Or we also have a Facebook group that's for female founders called, it's just Empire Life, like the same name as the company. If they're a female founder, it's complimentary to join.
Nice. Very cool. Well, thank you so much for showing up today, even though you weren't feeling so well. Is there anything else you'd like to share? Just any words of wisdom, anything else about your company or marketing in general from an intuitive perspective that you'd like to leave the audience with?
I'm really feeling it. What's coming through for me is, or to leave the audience with, is to start, just start. If
Mhm.
you feel like it's overwhelming and you don't know exactly where to start,
Mhm.
to just start posting, or start getting your feet wet a little bit with telling some personal stories and see how it resonates with your community.
Mhm.
Start reaching out to the community that you already have there. Like, even if you have, let's say, 20 followers on some of your social media platforms,
Mhm.
start reaching out to those 20 people individually in a DM and really continue to celebrate what you do have
Mhm.
in the starting process. And I'm sure that that will build from there, because we need to shift focusing on, well, I only have 20 followers and I'm just a nobody, or I'm not going to get any sales, or no one's going to come into my programs. It's shift that framework into, I have 20 followers. Like, imagine if 20 people were sitting in a room with me.
Mhm.
20 people. That's a good amount of people. Imagine if 10 of those 20 people joined your movement or
Mhm.
what you have going on and paid you. That could even be enough to sustain for a whole year, to sustain your business.
Yeah.
Just, that's really coming through for me, is to shift those mindsets into appreciating what you already have, and
Mhm.
therefore it will grow
Mhm.
from there.
I love that. And take
Mm-hmm.
intuitive action. That's the other piece I heard is like,
Mm-hmm.
just take action. I know when I started my company, it's like I just took massive action that felt good, right?
Mm-hmm.
So whatever you're feeling inspired to do, let yourself do it. The whole Nike thing,
Yes.
just do it. Yeah, absolutely. And count your blessings, like see how much you do have. And yeah, 20 could equal 200, like as you nurture those relationships and they tell their friends. Absolutely. Very cool.
Yes, for sure. Thank you, Abby. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Well, I hope you feel better and have a beautiful day, everyone. Bye.